Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to Queens, New York, in order to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. I'm the man without fear, Chris.
I'm the podcaster of mischief, Travis Snell.
Alliance Assemble. Volume
Boom.
89, and the original crew is back.
Yeah, it's like Endgame, where the people got snapped away. You had a big Spider-Man interview. You had Brent, who was like a new Avenger, but now it's the OG crew. Brent got snapped. He's gone. He's not coming back. We let him go. I'm sorry. No, he'll be back next week. It's fun to do. I'm happy that I could do 2 weeks in a row. It's exciting to go, oh man, Thursday. I remember this. I also remember having to rush home from work, which was fine, but I remember the
Whoops.
Yeah, and especially because work is hell right now. Like, could you stay late? I went, absolutely not. I got to talk about some Marvel right now, but no, I'm very excited. Plus, like I've always said, I like being on the shows where there's a little less news because we get to go on some tangents. We get to talk about some random stuff. So yeah, how are you doing this week?
Doing good. Exams are bringing to a close, so I've got a 3-day weekend coming up with the possibility of a winter storm coming through this area. So we'll have to see how that goes. The kids have never, since we've been in this house for a couple of years, our kids have not had a significant snowfall where they've really seen. And we've got this hill in the backyard outside of our fence, so we're kind of hoping it does do something.
Yeah. Luckily, we had one of those when I was off work, so I didn't have to go anywhere. But for a while, it was constant shoveling in the driveway, which is a good workout after all the Christmas food and festivities. But you just look out there like, I don't want to go out there and do this, but you do it, and you muscle up. Okay, I'm gonna move that snow, and it's gone now. Everything's melting right now, so it's all slush and everything. So.
Yeah, all the muddy and the stuff like that.
Yeah.
No fun. But all right, so let us get the lovely network plugs out of the way. So we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network with 8 shows. On Mondays, we've got my show, World's Finest True Believers, alternating bi-weekly with Ranger Alliance. Ranger Alliance dropped a new episode this week, and my show will be back next week with a new episode. Returning guest, going for a three-peat with this one, and there's a couple of 3-timers at this one, but yeah, this is one that since we started this particular series, this is the one arc that I've been looking to get towards. That preview tweet will drop as always on Friday afternoon, so be on the lookout for that. It'll be very easy to tell what we'll be talking about just by the images alone, so stay tuned for that.
Is there a 4-timer yet?
Yes, actually, that would be Mr. Hines.
Oh wow, he holds the record. You know, he got that. Him and Claire trying to inflate the DC podcast episode number by doing these Superman Lois reviews. You know, so he's all about. He's just trying to show. Clay's trying to be on many shows, and Hines just trying to get as many records. You know, but. You know, unfortunately, he lost the biggest episode record. You know, Spider-Man. You know.
Well, we had that kind of stint in November where we had to play catch up with Disney Plus, that Disney Plus stuff, and all these other random episodes and movie reviews. So you know, we'll give it to them. They'll end up overpassing us very quickly with all the Superman and Lois stuff.
The battle for the number supreme. You know.
It's what is it? It's not about the quantity; it's the quality.
Exactly. Yeah. Think about that, DC. Think about that. And Clay, think about that when you're watching Peacemakers, huh?
Oh my goodness, yeah, that's what I'll be watching probably after this. I'll start episode 1.
It makes sense. We're tying in. It's a Marvel director. He's directing Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yeah.
There's an actor from Peacemaker that we talked about last week that's rumored to be, you know, maybe a villain or so. So it's and I've watched the first 3 episodes and he's very entertaining. So I haven't seen him much. So on this, I'm like, okay, cool. So James Gunn's likes working with him. He's in the show. Got the approval for me. So.
Well, there we go. And then segues to on Tuesday, we've got DC Alliance, Wednesday, superhero discussions, Thursday, Star Wars Alliance, Friday's Marvel Alliance, and Saturday, on bi-weekly, we've got a walk through the multiverse. Slice of Film is usually on Sundays bi-weekly, but it is on hiatus, so Katie will be back soon.
I have heard, and I'm not going to say it for Curry, but I have heard that her goal is to, in the springtime, maybe bring that back. So if people are wondering, she just has busy stuff, job, life. That happens to all of us, don't worry. But yeah, that's kind of her goal and whatnot. So that makes sense. And even if not, check her out on Star Wars Alliance, even though, you know, saying Boba Fett's the best thing Jon Favreau's written before. Katie has some hot takes, you know. So, and I will plug them because they did start that this week. That DC Alliance is doing weekly Superman Lois reviews, but they're separate from the feeds. The reason they did that is because if they would have done it at the week's time, it would literally they drop the new, like a review for the last week's episode the day before the next one. So it's like, well, people aren't really gonna, and that's part of the reason why we moved Marvel Alliance, right? Because like, well, this drop time of Marvel Alliance like dropping right before, like right after. So that's the thing where they will be doing that until Superman and Lois has concluded. So there you go. That's
they'll probably get a little break in there because CW does like their random breaks here and there.
Well, they got to take them. They got to get back as much money as they can. You know, they're not making a single cent over there.
Yeah, you gotta love those numbers. So
yeah.
But DC Alliance goes live on the Geekverse podcast YouTube channel on Monday nights at 9:00 Eastern Standard Time. I believe they're doing their Superman and Lois ones at right after Star Wars Alliance on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Star Wars Alliance does it on Wednesday nights at 7:10, and this show goes live at 9:10 on Thursday nights. And all three of those have their own separate solo feed, so make sure to check those out if you just want to listen to those in addition to the G-Way feed. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to throw a couple of shekels our way, we've got two tiers. $1 tier is our tip jar to say, hey, thank you, we really appreciate it. And then we've got our $5 tier, which is our ad-free episodes, early access episodes, and the Patreon exclusive episodes. As we said last week, this show will be doing a monthly show called We Can Watch This All Day, the Marvel Alliance MCU rewatch. So Brent and I have already we have tentatively scheduled our recording for that. It was the last week of January. Brent's goal is to get it all together, produce it, and then give it to you, Mr. Snells, to drop it in the Patreon so we can have that for January for all the patrons.
Well, there you go. Yeah, and then in Patreon as well, it's Clay's month. You guys will see there'll be a bit more content on there, but me and Clay are gonna, I don't think finish because they're not all out, but we're gonna read all the issues so far that have come out. Batman 89. We did the first two, and then because Christmas break we got busy, but we're gonna catch up, and then we'll do the finale. So I'm enjoying it, and Keaton Fever's in the air. So yeah, go over to Patreon. Lots of good stuff over there, and we really appreciate it.
Yeah. And then finally, we want to always plug our official sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com, for all your omnibus collected edition and hardcover needs. Use that code of MarvelGUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. Use it infinite amount of times. Let them know that you're a listener of the show. Amazing packaging. Ships all around the world. I just got in this week the official reprint of Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1. It is back in play. Also, check
myself out of buying it, but people, if you don't, because I own lots of them, but if you don't, and if you're a fan, buy that because Ultimate Spider-Man is arguably maybe the greatest run of Spider-Man in my opinion.
A Volume 2 has been solicited, so more than likely we will get the 4 volumes that finally finish that series. So also check out his YouTube channel, Organic Price Books. Just look it up at that point. He gives you a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff on top of overviews and reviews, but also he has put out something that he wants to spread around. Penguin Random House is the current distributor for Marvel Books, but they do a really, it's been a very shoddy job of shipping books that are, when they arrive, they are destroyed. Like a whole shipment of 50 books he got in for the new Aliens Volume 2 omnibus, utterly destroyed because it was a low order for him. So they shipped it without much in protection, unless it was something like Ultimate Spider-Man. Big protection for that. A lot of orders. So he's just putting out there, nothing slanderous or anything like that, but to trying to get some messaging out there for PRH to start improving their stuff. So check that out, spread that around, tell PRH to start protecting the book, because even local comic book shops have been complaining since day one when PRH took over. So
yeah, nothing worse. So you don't want a dinged up comic book, or you don't want your sellers to have that, because that's just a bummer for them. So
yeah, exactly. So, but all right, so those are all the plugs and everything. I don't think anything big is coming up right now. So all right, so our main topic is not a news story, another light week at that point. So I went to Travis and say, what kind of fun, scandalous stuff can we talk about for our main story?
Yeah, and I wanted to do who would make the best sandwich, but Chris didn't go for it, even though for some reason I feel like I have a trust in Beast from X-Men. I don't know why, but there's something about him where I go, he'd make a good sandwich, but
I would think so. I would say maybe Wolverine, you could make a sandwich. I've always seen him making those big, tall sandwiches.
That's true. As long as I know his claws are sanitary, because he's going to be cutting up all the sandwich meat with his claws. So I really hope, I hope he has some rub and alcohol rub. But no, we are going to talk about. We got lots of projects coming out this year in Marvel, so we are going to kind of like last week how we did predictions, go back and forth. But we're going to go back and forth as far as ranking them by excitement. You guys did this last couple weeks ago when you guys did your comic book movies overall the whole year for your end credit. So it's going to be like that, and we'll kind of give our reasons why, see how similar our lists are, and it's kind of another good preview for the year because it's, again, we have, what is it? 8 projects, it's 7 projects, which is pretty good, and that's and technically
nope. 8.
Is it 8?
Yep, it's 8. We got 5 movies and 3 Disney Plus shows.
I'm definitely missing a movie. Oh no, I understand why. I didn't.
Yep.
People are gonna laugh, but there's a certain movie I didn't even have a tick by. I think you'll know what movie it was, but that's why. And then even technically, this isn't on our list, but we do have that rumored Halloween special next year too. So it's not on the list.
Oh,
but still,
you're right. Yeah,
that'll be cool if it does happen. I'm really excited to see, and that's why I guess I'll give that honorable mentions. I'm excited to see them doing like. They just keep calling it a special, and I'm very excited. Like, what does that mean? Like, what? Like, is it just like a kind of the same way like Simpsons does their every? I don't watch Simpsons, but they do a October Halloween type of special and
Treehouse
stuff.
of Horror.
Yeah, which I guess I'll save my thoughts because we have some news about that later. So, Chris, what do you got first? What's your least anticipated for the year?
Well, yeah, I figure we'll go through each one of these at this point. In our first one, we'll do the movies first, and then we'll do the Disney Plus shows because it'll be kind of we want to be kind of fair in comparisons of where they're at. But the first movie that comes out for Marvel, and this is all Marvel in general, and there's only 2 non-Marvel. So the first one is coming out as Morbius, April 1st, April Fool's Day. Yeah, this is my least excitement, and I've not necessarily. I haven't hidden my feelings for this since even the first trailer, just because I'm not a huge Morbius fan. I don't dislike the character. I was just like, oh, Morbius, cool. All right, so how are we gonna make this more than just a simple vampire movie at that point?
Yeah, I am exactly where you are. It's not a big surprise. I don't think the trailer marketing has been bad per se. I've just been waiting to get that really big kick of like, okay, this is why I'm really wanting to see more. I'm the same as you, and I'm with a lot of these villains that we hear all these rumors about. I think I'd be much more open if we had the reverse of, they're in the Spider-Man movie and then they're off on their own. Because there's lots of people that like, I would like to see Morbius in a Spider-Man movie, but now he's with this, iteration. Same thing as Venom, but okay, that's not the route they're going. I am interested to see how they play it off because it's funny, we've talked about this in the GUA where, maybe Boba Fett wasn't the right show to go after Mando because they're very similar, right? In the way of the certain characters. And I do wonder with Venom to Morbius, I know they have Spider-Man, but Venom to Morbius, they're both kind of doing the whole, I'm a, lost individual that has something attached to me that I can't control, with the symbiote, with the vampireness. This looks like it's going to be the more serious route, so I think I will prefer this to Venom. I will ask you though, now again, I don't believe these rumors and reports at all, but let's say we got one more final trailer, and if they were to have a teaser, even something just alluding to Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, would that uptick your excitement anymore? Because obviously that's the big whole thing, right? Is always going to be in the Sony universe. If we got some other marketing that were to pretty much confirm, hey, you're going to get some sort of Andrew Garfield content, would that kind of enhance your excitement at all? I don't know if it'd move up the list for me, but I would at least be even more intrigued to say, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm with Brent on this one in the idea that I'm more intrigued by Morbius in the sense of, okay, why is, Adrian Toomes in this? Where does he fit? Yeah. I'm thinking variant. That's, in my opinion, that's kind of obvious. But, if they do attempt to what you wanted them to do in the No Way Home trailer to even hint towards the spiders at that point, even any hint towards them, beyond that poster saying murderer. We need, some kind of maybe seeing a web slinger fly through the air at that point. It probably would garner a little bit more probably interesting. Oh, what are we going to see? And then Sony will pull the rug from underneath us. Oh, that's all we're seeing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I want to give them credit because they had some good trailers or, so they had some interesting trailers for No Way Home, but they didn't show their cards. And, they made a boatload of money and everything. I was someone that said, oh, they should have showed them for marketing, but it clearly worked out quite a bit without it. So I think they were fine. So I'm just very curious. We talked about this before, that I think them moving it was a good time. I'm just more curious about the fallout to see, if they strike another movie that does really well, even without MCU. That's Venom as a franchise, that's Morbius, and that gives Sony a lot of power. So we'll have to see. But yeah, definitely near the bottom. As people know, I'm not the biggest fan of Jared Leto as an actor. I think he can sometimes be quite good, but there's other times where he goes a bit over the top. But I will say this role doesn't look like he's necessarily going over the top, because they're asking him to play a scientist. So I think he's smart, as he's coming off of House of Gucci, which I could argue is the worst or greatest performance of this decade so far. If you watch that movie, in each scene, you will feel different ways about it. And he just got nominated for a SAG, so he's clearly very much in the Hollywood eyes still. So,
well, look at all the makeup job they made him to get into that role. That was impressive enough.
Well, it was very impressive. Now he got Morbius. He has a thing for. He's very much like Johnny Depp back in the day. He needs to be maked up or some cake and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm exactly where you guys are. I'm just more intrigued by it than excited. It's a movie that I think I'm going to watch. Go, okay, I had some answers answered, and I may never watch it again. But I'm hoping. I would really like to really enjoy and be surprised.
It's really intriguing when I see people like saying, "Oh, I can't wait for this." It's very surprising that people I see on Twitter, mutuals, that are really excited about it. Not to try to poo-poo it. Like, how are you excited about it? Because I'm not that kind of person to begin with. But it's just interesting to see what people are excited about it, and what people in my camp's like, I'll see it. One reason, because I post a show, we're going to be reviewing it, but I just don't see a lot of like, oh, they're going to break new ground. They're not doing anything interesting to say like, oh, this is going to be a must see, Yeah,
and that's where I hope is different. I think it's going to be interesting runtime. I do hope that when we do get there, but at the end of the day, maybe it is just the same way MCU does. Hey, this is a heist movie. This is a political thriller. This is it's Jekyll and Hyde. Now, I thought that would be Venom, but that does have like a comedic slant. So it's not really, it's Jekyll and Hyde, but it's not, it's not what I think of when it comes to that. I think it's just more Eddie and Brock. So
yeah.
All
right, so next up, the first MCU movie for 2022 is coming in at May 6th. That'll be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So MCU's hitting out with a banger for their first one in 2022 for movie wise at that point. So we've seen the teaser trailer. Excitement level. I think this one probably, I would say, has, out of all the films right now for the MCU, has the biggest stakes, which makes it interesting in this sense of like a lot of things we're hearing. This is really going to have some major effects at the end of the movie that can continue to reverberate into the rest of Phase 4 and beyond. So the fact that it's starting off for the MCU makes me wonder, saying, man, geez, how will you top this? How will you go that route?
Yeah, it's very tough to lead with such a big, heavy hitter, because the whole year you're going to be chasing that high. Like, it's kind of good for No Way Home, where it ended the year. So it's like, okay, that's done. It's not a phase, but it's this little sequence of the MCU done. But it does also do the reverse, where, maybe you can't catch that same hype, but you know what you do? You get people excited for Marvel overall as a brand, the same way Endgame got people excited for Far From Home, and then the Disney Plus shows. Obviously, it got delayed because COVID, but there was lots of excitement for that and Black Widow. Just see, okay, what is next for these characters? And I think this has this to an extent, because I know we might have one Disney Plus show that may come out, but I still think that it'll have some stuff to do with the MCU, but it won't be. I don't think you'll see it have any effects on Doctor Strange. So I think this will be, it is the first big MCU movie, and it's the first big project of, okay, what is going to be happening. And I'm getting more and more excited. I've been excited for kind of a while, once even before we got the multiverse stuff of when they just switched directors, because I wasn't the biggest fan of the first one. I liked it enough. Wanda being in there, which was great, because when they announced that years ago, I didn't know this is the type of Wanda we begin. It was just like, okay, cool, she'll be a fun side character in Doctor Strange because she's also magic. But now where we are from that Comic-Con to here, the stakes are so much bigger for her, for him. She's such a more defined character and even actress now that got lots of praise for her. So again, it doesn't feel like Doctor Strange plus friends. It feels like Doctor Strange and Wanda, and already on the posters, she's on the posters with them. It's not heard us. It's very much like Doctor Strange was on the Spider-Man poster, so it's a big deal. The cameos and everything, it's up right now. All I'm doing is setting expectations, and I love hearing the chatter, and it's all great. We're going to talk about some of that later, but
Yeah.
all I'm hoping for is I just want they revealed it. I want to know, okay, what is the extent of, Strange versus Strange Supreme, because that's very interesting. But for me, it is about how they handle Wanda and her story and what is next for her, because I feel they did some very important things for her. So the cameos, the multiverse stuff, I'm honestly just kind of thinking that's cherry on top. I'm hoping there's still a good solid story, and I think there will be, because we got that with No Way Home. No Way Home was a good proof to me of, hey, you could have went cameo banana sandwich in that movie, and they did to extent, but then it was driven by story purposes. So that's why, okay, I trust them now. The same reason as we'll talk about another D plus show later of like, oh, there's lots of characters in this that aren't the main title character, but they kind of showed, okay, you had two Spider-Man there and you still made Tom Holland feel it was his movie and a big arc. So I they got my trust right now with these huge, especially Multiverse Madness that we hear is a huge event. So
yeah, S-Bub's in the chat saying this year almost every comic book movie is my most hyped until the next one releases. Like the Batman is my most hyped, but after its releases, Multiverse of Madness is my most hyped. Yeah, we've said it last week. I mean, this is a very stacked year. Yeah. Excitement level.
He skipped Morbius.
Oh, he did skip Morbius. We see what he's doing there. I would say hype level, I would say this is between an 8 and a 9 for me. I think in the sense of the cameos are intriguing to me, hearing like what it is. And even when saying, oh, supposedly this person's in it, supposedly this person's not in it, it's just like, I wonder how it's going to be happening. That, again, I've always said it, the idea of the journey to get to that moment, to see those moments, to see that idea. So I don't want to see any more scoopers putting out a image with their name stamp on it saying, I don't know how I got this at this point.
Well, don't check my Twitter feed tomorrow because I got something crazy. It's just a picture of me in a green screen with the image and whatnot. Yeah. I have to ask, because I don't think we talked about this. When we're ranking these, you want me to rank a number right now, or at the end are we going to put them on a list?
I'm ranking them right now at that point.
So right now, out of the movies, I think I'll do my number system as far as I got Morbius last. I think it's tough because there's lots of these movies other than one I feel very much the same about, that they can go good ways or bad ways. I think I'd have this as my second most anticipated Marvel project of the year. The only thing I will say is like a con, even though I trust them, but it's, play a little devil advocate, is and I am nowhere the same as Hines, but I was someone that was also very disappointed with the Crisis event on CW. And I think that they did have that thing where, hey, we can get a bunch of people and let's do all these cameos. Now, it was fun to see some of these people. It was, but I thought a lot more was going to be a bit more substantial, kind of like what we got with Ezra Miller and The Flash. Like, even though it was a quick little cameo, there was some fun dialogue. There was a scene. Lots of these people were just appearing and getting killed off. Like, oh, like something took. It was like, oh, okay. And even something like Tom Welland's appearance, it was good, but I felt like we need a little bit more. But then the reverse, you have something like Brandon Rouse. I thought that was perfectly done. So I think Crisis, they got to look at, not that, okay, Foggy's not looking at the Crisis CW like, how could we do this? But I'm saying us as fans, I think that was a very important thing to watch, because you had Endgame and Avengers and stuff, because everyone said like, oh, Crisis is their Endgame. It was to an extent, but Endgame was still, for the most part, using all the characters we knew and loved. Like the cameos were of, a dead Loki, and there are people that weren't like, oh, what we're talking about right now, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. So I do think that they have to be careful. I don't want a scene where they pop in the universe and Nicolas Cage just drives by and says, "What you doing on my Earth?" And then they like move.
No, actually, he's not going to drive by. He's been peeing. He's doing fire pee at that point, saying,
"Exactly,
hey,
I need
get
some
your own
privacy."
dumpster.
Yeah, exactly, and that's where I think there's some room for that, but Hines says, was it though? So you're saying DC was the blueprint? Oh, absolutely. And then who was the blueprint for DC? Zack Snyder. But it's tough because you could sit me down and say, hey, we have these cameos lined up. They're not much story. Why should we do it? I'm probably still going to say yes, but I think kind of what you're saying earlier, I still want them to make sense. Even if they're in there for a quick moment, I want it to play not as just a, hey, this guy was on a green screen room and popped in and popped out. I want them to be some sort of role. I don't know what that would be. I know people are theorizing we'll get like an Endgame battle, but with like the non-MCU characters, and I don't know if I see that happening. I don't know, but I think it's one that'll be interesting to judge after, because it sounds, from lots of the rumors, it sounds very similar to what we were getting with CW's Crisis. It's, oh, this person's in, oh, this person's maybe not in, like, and that's kind of fun. It feels like a sports team again, of people trying to sign different people, like, oh, they're, or when the Olympics come around, like, oh, they might be playing but we don't know. So that's my only one holdup is with Spider-Man. We had lots of characters, but we had still technically met them before, like some of these people, but it was still, only 5 villains, and then the 2 Spider-Man, which I know sounds like only, it doesn't sound like that much, but I think they did it the right way,
Yeah, this is also ranked probably my number 2, and again, it's like the excitement surrounding it, what No Way Home, what this whole idea that Loki set up with the multiverse at that point. This feels to me, and I think I said it last week, this feels to me like a very much Empire Strikes Back movie for Strange, and the fact that he's only had one movie, but he's appeared a lot in everything else, but his effects and what he's growing and learning, even though he's not the Sorcerer Supreme, Wong is, the idea that he's continuing needing to learn from what his mistakes have been, where his ego has gotten the best of him. He's grown, don't get me wrong, he's grown, but he's still making those brash decisions that are costing lives. So
100%. It's looking at me. Aunt May's no longer with us now.
I know.
He decided to make the wrong wish, but
exactly. So, but all right. Before we continue down our list, we're going to take our first ad break. So again, listeners, these ads help keep the lights on at the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud. So I'm going to give you that 3 count to turn that volume down before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right. So I see S-Bubs said something I kind of wanted to point out there. He had said that Feige's playing his own MCU casting draft. I mean, basically, that's what they were saying with No Way Home. Like, a lot of the idea for the multiverse kind of story wouldn't have happened if they didn't get all these players to agree. So it's almost kind of in the sense of, who can we entice just to do this? Like, are we going to get that moment when Iron Man shows up and opens it up, opens the armor, and it's actually Tom Cruise,
Yeah, and some of that stuff is so interesting, and I personally am just as excited for some of that stuff than I am for certain people coming back, because I think the multiverse stuff is fun, and I think you could have tons of potential in the future of doing different characters. But of course, there's certain people I want to see back, and again, that's why I think the best thing, I know fans are very excited, but if you look at that first trailer for Doctor Strange, it's all about the multiverse, sure, but it's not about who's going to show up, who could be there. Where Spider-Man No Way Home was that to an extent, because it was like, we're teasing the villains, we're showing them a little bit, not showing them a lot. I hope that's what I would recommend fans, is just go in expecting a great Doctor Strange movie about him and Wanda, and that's it. Whatever the cameos you get, that's just icing on top, and maybe when we get in the movie, we'll go, okay, it was really about that. But just go ahead.
Yeah, and I think because all these different rumors, this person might be, I think it's even better to have all these different ideas floating out there, and then who we do get at that point, it's like, oh my gosh, we finally see. So there's so much too many different scoopers trying to scoop each other that we really don't know who's going to be in it, which is better than what happened with No Way Home.
Yeah, and 100%, because with No Way Home, you kind of had an idea of, okay, it's these characters because they were in different movies, right? With this, I feel like we've heard every rumor under the sun. You and I talked about probably over a year ago when it was Hugh Jackman. And then there's people going, he's not in it. And then there's people being like, oh, actually, he might still be in it. And that's kind of fun because you don't know. And this is where I was talking about this on Geekverse as well, with rumors, why we can cover them. And I sometimes don't feel they're spoilers, is because if we go back to whatever it was a year ago, Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone were reported to be in No Way Home.
That was like a week where we had like 2 or 3 major things. Like it's like, who isn't in No Way Home?
Yeah, and then after it came out that was part of the plan, but because of COVID, it just didn't go down. It was, especially both of them were pregnant at the time, so you could see probably why they didn't want to risk. Like, I'm sure they would like to play in Spider-Man world, but I think focusing on the child, especially I think in a non-COVID world, sure, lots of health and stuff, but I think that, look at that. It was rumored, thought it was going to for sure happen, and it didn't. So that's the thing. You never know what's going to happen with these.
Yeah.
So,
all right, and then we only have a 2-month break. 2-month break at that point. Then we get Thor: Love and Thunder. So this will be bringing the 4th movie in the Thor franchise at that point. Again, helmed by Taika Waititi. Jane Foster is coming back as the mighty Thor. Is going to be kind of the big thing a lot of us have seen, bringing in from Jason Aaron's run at that point. This is a movie that I say I'm excited for, but in the sense of I'm one of these people that do enjoy Ragnarok. I have a good time. Aaron just loves that movie and loves quoting it left and right, just different points, just because it just was a fun movie. And I totally respect and I totally understand why some people just really don't like that movie because they have a different opinion about Thor. But again, I've accepted now the movie that I'm going to be getting at this point, so it's going to be a wild and fun ride, but in the sense of excitement level, it's kind of mid-tier. I'll put it like either my fourth or fifth one just because I'm more interested to see the Mighty Thor storyline. I hope it's not one of these situations where she's going to get the power and then it's going to be gone by the end of the movie. I kind of want to have this character still exist in the MCU. I'm looking forward to even if it's just going to be the beginning, the Guardians interaction, the back and forth between Star-Lord and that, Valkyrie. I'm just looking for a fun ride. If I continue to get the fun ride I had in Ragnarok, we double down on that, then it'll satisfy what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, it's funny to say this because, it's the God of Thunder and everything, but this is definitely the lowest stakes MCU movie as of right now. We're going to wait and see in trailers, but you look at Doctor Strange, we already talked about lots of big things going on. Wakanda Forever is higher stakes, not even much just in the world of MCU, just for, I think, the movie world to see how they pull that off. So that's going to have a lot of eyes on this. I think this gets to fly under the radar. And yeah, I'm somebody I've always gone that I got Thor, and I'm about, same thing, I have this rated second last at number 4. I'm somebody that has, I think, Thor Ragnarok almost dead center in his MCU rankings, and that's because for me it is one of my most rewatchable movies. Anytime I'm having a bad day or I want to laugh, I can put that on and have a good time. But then when I counter, it's one of these movies that I feel almost would have been better if it was an MCU movie, because I think it does kind of clash with some things, and I don't need to get into a full review and everything like that of Ragnarok, but I think there's times where the humor does really hurt it, but then it's tough because I find that humor funny as well. So I'm in like a very difficult place when it comes to Ragnarok. Taika, it's very interesting because Taika, for me, it depends what they're doing with the Mighty Jane storyline or Mighty Thor storyline. Mighty Jane, that's like Tarzan or something. I do want to see if they tackle the cancel storyline. And for me, after Jojo Rabbit, which was one of my favorite movies that year, it's my favorite. It's my favorite Taika movie. Up until that point, I understood a lot of people's device. I still understand a lot of people's cons with him, but I think that from that movie, he showed me that you can be very goofy but have some very heartfelt moments. And I think that was something that I was wanting a bit more in Ragnarok, whether it was Odin's kind of, to me, rushing to his conclusion. I feel like Loki kind of got the shaft as far as that redemption arc was very to the side. When Loki, I think that should have been, what people have said, I agree with, that Loki's redemption arc really came in the show. That should have happened in that movie, which is fine now because we got the show and that happened. So Taika is a very interesting filmmaker, but I understand, same thing as you, why people don't like it. He's already said that this is going to be like 10 times more wild than the first one. So it's a much like Peacemaker, like I've been talking about right now. I've seen the first 3 episodes, and if you don't like Suicide Squad or James Gunn style, you're not going to like that show. So it's the same thing as Taika. Unless you are an MCU diehard fan and feels like you need to see everything, I think you could probably skip this one and you can read about it. You can ask a friend if you're someone that's a casual viewer.
You can listen to our review and be good.
Exactly, yeah. But then I go the reverse, where just like your wife, I feel there's so many people I talk to that aren't in the thick of it like us that have Ragnarok very high. And that's the reason Taika's back. Not only one, it was huge success, like bigger than the first 2 Thor movies by quite a bit, but I feel like so many people that are, they catch up with all the Marvel movies, but they're not, they might see him once and that's kind of it. Everyone I always talk about loves Ragnarok. So I think this will be very much the same. I think it'll be a crowd pleaser. And again, for me, I think the greatest actor of all time is Christian Bale. He is in this movie, so that gets me excited. And that's, again, I really don't think Christian Bale would be in a Marvel movie if Taika wasn't directing. I think this is more of a case that, I want to work with Taika, not I want to be Goro the God Butcher. I don't think that was Christian Bale. I think it's, hey, I really want to work with Taika. What's he doing next? Oh, he's doing Thor. Yeah, sure, I'll do Thor. And that, if you ask what I'm most intrigued about, other than maybe what they do with T'Challa, seeing Christian Bale in the MCU movie, that is very intriguing because that is a top tier, like I said, arguably, the creme de la creme of actors. It's like getting Daniel Day-Lewis in the 90s to appear in Blade or something like that. So it's like, what's he going to do? So I'm looking very forward to this movie. Again, it's lower, but it's still, if this were to come out in a year by itself, I'd be very excited for it.
Yeah, this is like, looking at the list of movies that are coming out, each one of them has their own kind of unique idea. And, the three MCU movies, it's hard to see how they connect to each other. Where is that connection coming from? So
very different realms.
Very much. And again, it'll connect. It's just right now, headcanon wise, with what we do know about it, it's hard to do it. So like I said, this is definitely fourth or fifth for me. It just kind of depends. But then we have a big long break in the sense of movie content. October 7th, we get Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. Seeing that teaser when it came out, oh my goodness gracious, it brought back all the joy of seeing that movie, seeing my man Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, voiced by Oscar Isaac, even though he didn't speak in this trailer at that point. Just that hint of the idea that we are doubling down, hearing in the interviews with Lord Miller, we are doubling down on the spiders that are going to be in this movie. It was a lot of fun. The fact that it's a part 1 excites me even more. I don't know what kind of cliffhanger they're going to leave us on at that point, but right now, this is my most anticipated, most excited, I'm excited about. This is my number 1 right now.
Yeah, you and me are the same, and I actually have to redo my list because I lied about where Thor is. You and me are the same because this is number 1 with a bullet point. I will get my devil advocate out of the way that even though they are Lord Miller producing it, I will always say that I was always surprised that the same directors from the first one aren't coming back.
Yeah, because aren't there about 3 directors working on this?
And none of them are from the first one, which I was like, that's kind of weird. So if this has a dip in quality, I'm blaming Sony, like, why didn't you bring these people back? But the teaser was great. It's just one of those things of that first movie was so iconic and so great, and I could make a case that it is the best comic book movie. It's on my Mount Rushmore for the number, like the 4 in there as far as what I consider that there's, the genre and the ones that go past it. Spider-Verse is that. I'm very excited to see this because my kids, especially Gwen, she is a big fan of this, that we watch a lot. And even Logan, who she has been, not the reverse, but she hasn't taken on to the superhero stuff as much. But Spider-Verse was the first time I saw her like actually being excited. And I think that's going to at least benefit. It sucks because it's coming in the pandemic, but the first one did well, but nothing. It wasn't a disappointment, but it felt like, oh, there was some maybe money left on the table. Like, why didn't this go past it? It has that animation maybe gap, but I think that the word of mouth from the first one has been so good that was spread on. And yeah, I'm very excited that how much they're going to do. I think they'll have lots of cameos, but I think from the first movie, again, like we talked about with No Way Home, they made sure that they were there for story purposes and they had moments and stuff. So, and that's a good thing with it being a part 1 and part 2, that there could be lots of cameos, but they might spread them throughout the 2 films. They don't got to bolster it. So yeah, this is number 1. Again, the only thing too is same thing is, I'm not expecting it to be as good as the first one, but it is going to be very hard to get close to that legend of the first one because that was just a nearly perfect movie.
Well, I don't think anyone really expected it to be as good.
Yeah,
like I don't think people were expecting it to be bad, but I think they were more like blown away. Said, "This is a lot better than this movie deserves to be."
Yeah. I didn't think when people saw the initial previews, they thought it'd be in the conversation for best Marvel movie, or even best comic book movie. I think they're like, oh, this is cool. Sony wants to get some more money on a Spider-Man. It's an animated thing for kids. Awesome. Cool. I'll watch it. But when it was a lot more than that, I think people at least gave Sony a lot more respect. It won an Oscar, so hopefully they keep that going. But yeah, number 1 for me, pretty easily, I think so.
Yeah, my kids are really into the Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends. I can't remember which one they're starting to watch now. It's got like little mini shorts with a lot more of the Marvel characters. I'm waiting to this point of when I can start showing them like Earth's Mightiest Heroes and then maybe like Spider-Verse. So I think it's still a little too early right now for them. They'll like it. They'll notice the characters. I've got to break them of the habit thing. Oh, it's Spin. No, it's Miles. It's Spider-Man. It's Spider.
I don't know why between Ghost Spider and Spin, they think of some terrible names. Like Brent said last week, I don't know why Spider-Gwen is just not Spider-Woman in her world.
Yep.
It's just like, fine, you don't want to call her Spider-Gwen, but call her Ghost Spider and Spin. No, we're not calling him Spin. That's Spider-Man. Call him Ultimate Spider-Man. Call the other one Amazing Spider-Man. Find some other differential. I don't need Spin, but that's all right. So
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So our next one, and the one that will be closing out the MCU for the year, will be Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, November 11th. So, this one is, we've said it since the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Whenever this movie was going to come out, this is going to carry a lot of baggage, and I'm not talking about the baggage of what's going on with Lupita at that point. Letitia, sorry, Letitia. Yeah,
like, what did I do?
No, yeah, exactly. Letitia, what's going on at that point? It's just how the first one is in my top three. It remains in my top three for many reasons, but the idea of how do you bring an end to what Chadwick Boseman did to a character, not necessarily on the terms they wanted to do, if that was ever going to happen, and how do you move on? I think I'm more intrigued by this movie in the sense of, what are we doing? How do we, not only who takes on the mantle, but how are we honoring Chadwick and T'Challa in this movie to move the step forward for a movie that they did not plan on doing in this way? I'm more curious, especially during the interviews when they happened, when we see it, what part of the script and ideas remained and what parts were having. I don't know how vocal they'll be on jettisoning certain parts, just because those could be ideas that they would maybe use later on. So I don't know if we'll get that, but it's going to be a very emotional movie for a lot of people, including myself, just having to see this. And I'm excited in the sense of what is next, what is going to be. So before we get to it, we got a listener in here saying, H-Town Boss, I hate to say this, but as a Black Panther fan, I'm probably just going to skip this one. I feel like the movie's going to be super disrespectful to comic book Black Panther fans. I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't want to pass that. I can understand why you're saying you're hesitant of seeing it just because of where that movie you probably feel at that point. I don't know if I want to go that far personally of saying it's going to be disrespectful, but because again, we've seen in the comics, the mantle has been passed down and has been forcibly, taken away from T'Challa at different points. So
I will say H-Town, because you got a very cool Black Panther profile pic. Do you have some algorithm that when someone talks about Black Panther, you're like, oh man, someone's talking about it, I got to get into a chat, because that was really good timing.
I know, yeah. I props for you.
Yeah. So I will say this, and this is not in a disrespectful way at all, and this is where S-Bubs is right. Wait until Disney Plus, like some people did with Eternals. And he was referring that with Thor, but the same thing with Black Panther, where this movie has so much, like you said, baggage is the perfect word, between a lot of things. Between, yes, you got to do right by Chadwick, you have to deal with other things that's going on in the world and other cast members, and then you also have to deal with, because it's funny, there's been such a wave, and I completely understand people's cases for it. Definitely we've seen the past few months, I'd say maybe around October-ish, November, that lots of people have been saying that maybe Marvel made a mistake not recasting T'Challa and making that role go on, and you can definitely see the argument for it. And I'm at a place where I put my opinion out there, but I can say I'm not right because it's just how I feel, and there's so many ways you could tackle this that I don't even know. And that's why before, when I said I made a mistake, I have this one ranked the second last. I had Thor actually at 3, and I had this one second last, because I am intrigued, but I'm not excited for it in the way where and it's just the way when you're talking about oh, how are they going to satisfyingly end this? And they'll try and find some sort of way, but the real answer is they'll never find a satisfying way to end it. Why? Is because all of us want to see whenever this role ended for Chadwick to pass it on or something like that, right? So no matter how good this ending is, they can do justice to Chadwick and his memory, but it's always going to feel a little empty, right? Because we've missed out on a lot, and that's where it's tough. And this movie, it's like when we review it and rate it, it's going to be very, very much on a curve. The same way, and people can all the time have said like, oh, you shouldn't do that, Travis. But it's the same way it always was for Dark Knight Rises. We all know Nolan was not going to make that type of movie. That's why I think the whole reason after Ledger passed away, there was lots of rumors that Nolan wasn't going to do it, because I think he was like, what do I do? Like, I clearly had, like, we don't know for sure, but you don't leave the Joker hanging all upside down saying we're destined to do this forever and not pick that bone up again, right?
Yeah, I think the rumor was it was going to be the trial of the Joker at that point.
And he was going to almost act as like a Hannibal Lecter type of character, and you know that guy would have broke out because he's the Joker, and that's where, for me at Dark Knight Rises, I always give it a benefit of the doubt because they tried their best. That's the same way at this. Even if it's a messy, not the greatest well-made movie, I'll go, you know what? There's many reasons for that, but I guess just the reason I'm still not excited because I remember we got that news, we did that cast, but ever since then, still, I'm not that excited with a Black Panther yet without Chadwick Boseman, and now people go, oh, though they should recast. I'm not in that camp either, because I'm the camp that, I'm not ready for someone to play T'Challa yet, but I completely understand people's argument of, hey, he represents something to the Black community, that character. We would like to see that move forward. So that's why, for me, I go, there's just no right answer. I've said before, I think the best way to do a recasting of T'Challa is eventually wait a few years, and that's what the multiverse is for, is you got a different T'Challa, you bring him in, and it's not Chadwick, it's not a stepping on the character, but for this movie, the only, even then, it's so messy, but the only thing I have really as a big saving grace is Ryan Coogler is one of the best filmmakers in the world right now.
Agreed.
And if I can trust him to maybe do what Nolan did and pull off to me what at least was a good movie, I think he can do that. I think, like you said, interviews will be interesting. I think we might get a lot of information about that even in like a Disney Plus gallery and like a year after the movie comes out, because like you said, they might be holding some stuff. So I'm like this with Morbius, where Morbius I'm intrigued for canon stuff and comic stuff. I'm more intrigued as a person, like, how do you pull this off? But as a film, I'm not too excited yet. I need to see a trailer, and hopefully that'll get me there, but it's going to be a tough pill to swallow without Chadwick, because even with my argument about Dark Knight Rises, you could make a case that, okay, yeah, the Joker just got locked up and he's gone forever, so that is an ending to that character. But with T'Challa, even if they kill him off, it's tough for me. So let's see. Downfall, I have been watching, but my big problem is I don't want to see T'Challa's story achievements be pushed onto other characters if they come up with new stories. Cool. And
okay, all right.
And I've heard that same sentiment as far as you're taking that character and everything he could have achieved, you push to someone else. And I can't say you're wrong.
Yeah,
I get. Yeah,
because one of the storylines, again, one of the first omnibus coming out. Again, Black Panther's never had an omnibus, and the first one that they're doing is Christopher Priest's run, where he totally expanded literally the Wakandan life to the intergalactic empire of Wakanda, and we kind of got a hint of that in What If. Wakandans having an empire in space and being able to achieve that at that point and been that. So that's going to be. I'm wondering when that's going to happen. I don't foresee it in this movie, but I guarantee you the intergalactic empire of Wakanda will be in a upcoming Black Panther movie. But also with that idea, the Black Panther universe expanding to Disney Plus. Coogler's got the series, and seeing what seeds are laying in this movie that are going to lead towards his series at that point. But yeah, H&I appreciate you kind of explaining it. That makes a lot more sense, and I agree with Travis. You are not wrong in that idea. That is a tough thing to do, especially when a lot of times, not just the MCU does it, but even DC, certain characters are combined, like two different characters are combined into one, and you get like storylines that are done to some success versus some things that are not so great.
Well, and I won't bring this up the one side of it, but the other side of, you look right now with Superman and Batman right now, right? And there's a lot of outcry of not the jerk idiots that have a problem with the gender of certain heroes. People just go, why can't we have a Superman and a Supergirl? Why does it have to be one or the other? Now, do I believe do I trust Warner Brothers? We'll see. I don't know what their motives are. I couldn't tell you there. But I like those characters, so I want to give it a chance. But as long as you're civil and sane, which is what you're doing about H-Town Boss, there's many people that are like you, same thing, that I've seen the sentiment of, for multitude of reasons, don't want that. And I guess for me, it's just, there's certain roles. I was the exact same way when Carrie Fisher passed away as Leia. That does the CGI reusing of scenes work in Rise of Skywalker? I think it works enough. I don't think it's that. When you look at it, they do look messy. But at the same time, did I want to recast? No, I didn't, because it's just I associate with her that so much with that role currently, and that's the same way I was with Chadwick, where as of right now, it's just was too soon for me to see that character played by someone else, because I don't think I could lock in, because I know people bring up all the time, oh, MCU's recasted. Yeah, but they've never recasted someone with that big an impact, and somebody, oh, they recasted the Hulk. Incredible Hulk had it had a minuscule effect that Black Panther did in not just comic book films, but in film in general, right? So
Yeah.
casting T'Challa, casting someone Princess Leia, those are massive milestone decisions. And I kind of understand why they maybe put it on the back burner. We might do that in someday, but right now we're not gonna. And but again, it's hard for me to get excited for this movie because it's the black cloud around it no matter what, between political things and sadness. So they got a big feat to pull off with that movie.
Yeah, especially if some of those rumors being true by a certain villain that might be in this movie at that point would be also intriguing at that point, or villains, you never know. But yeah, so those are the movies at that point. So let us head to Disney Plus and see where we're at. So supposedly, all these are right now slated for 2022. I've kind of put them in the order of where I'm hearing or where we're hearing the idea of release order for these at this point. So first up, the prediction is Moon Knight will be our first one on Disney Plus. Oscar Isaac playing the title character. With all these outside of the Halloween special, we have seen images, some little sequences, but not much in the sense of like a proper trailer, teaser specifically for it. So with Moon Knight, I would say out of all these shows right now, this is my number one for Disney Plus. And I know, obviously, no big surprise, it's going to be yours for separate. But this is where the MCU is going to be saying this is the darkest character you're going to have to deal with, in the sense of not just the idea of his, dissociated personality disorder, the idea of he is a, vicious vigilante when he takes on the persona of Moon Knight. And how deep are we going to get into this? How dark are we going to go? Because if this is our first son to be hinting towards the Midnight Suns, and if ideas are believed, will we see Mahershala Ali make his first appearance in the MCU as Blade? I don't think you have to go a hard R, and I don't think we're going to get that in a Disney Plus show. But I want to see how far we push the envelope on this, because to some extent, even though Mandalorian is what it is, Mandalorian got dark a little bit. Not like they didn't pull some. I was surprised on some sequences in some of the episodes that they did that. So Disney Plus isn't necessarily just for kids, but this one's going to be very interesting in how they approach it.
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little disconnected from that because I know there was all the talk of the hyper-violence and stuff like that. It's very much like the discord around Batman being PG-13. I've stayed away from it because I really don't care. Whatever was going to be rated, it looks great, and I'm happy it's hopefully coming out in a couple months. But for me, it's all about, I wouldn't even care if it wasn't that violent. To me, it's all about how they tackle the mental side of it, his illness, or it might not be an illness when you look at it. It depends. Having a god in your body, it's a very confusing time. So
there's a lot of people in there.
Yeah, exactly. So that I'm more interested again how they're gonna play that up. I want to see how dark they get, but I also, for me, I want to see how dense do they get. I think they got to strike a balance of, I want the show to be very much like the newest Hannibal, but you can't be as dense as that, because as you saw, that show did not find a big audience. So you have to still make it flashy, and I think Oscar Isaac helps. And yeah, clearly this is my number one Disney Plus. This is my number one everything after Batman. I've said it before, like if I can get Batman and Moon Knight this year, you could delay everything else for 5 years and I'd be okay. I'd be like, okay, I'll watch Spider-Verse, Batman, and Moon Knight on repeat, and that's all I need. So yeah.
H-Town says, I really hope it gets as dark as you can for PG-13. I believe Midnight Sun should not feel like MCU characters. They should be vastly different. They should be. And then again, Blade's going to be another test for them for how you put that on, the MCU's version of Blade at that point. So, and I don't think with Mahershala Ali's caliber as a 2-time Oscar winner, as much control he is going to be having with this and influence on this movie, you give that man what he wants, and I guarantee you're going to get gold.
Well, and even you look at Oscar Isaac to not the same extent, but the reason he did it is because the pitch, because he said that they're doing something vastly different with superhero stuff. Now, yes, this is said actor and said project who is promoting the project. Let's believe when you say it. But this is also a guy who, you look at interviews during Rise of Skywalker, franchise movies really beat him down. And he looked like, that's why I was, if you go back, and this is why I'm obviously very excited that a couple years ago, I think it's like 3 or 4 years ago at Geekverse, we did our fan draft for our picks, and I picked Oscar Isaac Moon Knight because I thought he legitimately would be the perfect person. After Skywalker, and I don't think it's going to happen. He looks very burnt out from this. So the fact that, to me, I do think that a good pitch really got him, and some good money as well, but I do think that that helped, and that's the thing I'm very interested to see is what angle they play up now that they have kind of confirmed that, okay, we have the multiple personalities. Is it a thing where we start off with not knowing if he's crazy or not? Do we right away go, hey, there's a god here, it's not his mind? Like, I think there's tons of fun they can do there. And I think this show, as I said before, I think it has a chance. It won't be as big, but it has a chance to be WandaVision, where you have lots of theory crafting and lots of speculating, like what's going on. So, and again, I've said this before in a broken record, but I do, for the most part, I'm fine with some end credit stuff, but I do really want to stand on its own. I really want it to be like Guardians 1 or even Eternals, where it's in that world, almost what H-Channel is referring to. It's in the world, but it feels a lot different, whether you like Eternals or not. Check it out. It's on Disney+.
Unlike the Netflix universe, where it's in the world, but not really.
Yeah, but who knows now? Now they retcon that. But this show is, from the day it was announced, and then once they announced Oscar Isaac, who was my dream casting, I could not be more exciting for this. This is one that if they had a $50 tier in Disney Plus to get all the episodes, I'd be paying that tier. Waiting week to week is going to kill me, but I think they have a really good chance for this to be a big standout. So yeah, it's #1 Disney Plus show, #1 MCU project, 100% for me.
Yeah.
So.
Especially if seeing, even though it was a leaked image at that point, but my goodness, that costume is going to be, that's going to be fire. Absolute fire. All right, so next up, supposedly the rumors are that Miss Marvel will be premiering in the summer. At that point, it'll be our summer show. A lot of just with the leaks and with the rumors surrounding the show at that point, with the possibility of changing her power set at that point, has stirred up some sentiment among the fans and things like that. This is a show that I'm intrigued by. I know last week I said this might be the sleeper. It's going to start off not necessarily knowing what to make of it, but it's going to be kind of that slow sleeper hit at that point. I still stand by that prediction. This one is my third one for it, just because I kind of want to see, and the only thing that is giving me a little more hope in the sense of if the power set is changing or how it's portrayed is that her creators have been on set. Her creators have been a very big part of the process with it, and have been necessarily saying in different quiet interviews, saying they're doing a great job. We sign off on this. This is going to be a great project. I just wonder, in the sense of, this is our first young hero focused show, like all focused on one individual of a character that has not been introduced before in the MCU. So it's going to be interesting to see, because originally Miss Marvel's an Inhuman. Yeah. We don't have Inhumans yet necessarily in the MCU. We don't acknowledge the that lovely project that bit the dust hard.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be my third, and I'll just say it right now. This is my third. So
yeah, it is for me too. I've said this before, where I just really need to see again, much like lots of these projects because they're further out, but one full trip. But for me, it's actually the first episode, because I just want to see that, okay, it is a child-based show, but how childlike is it? And I would not be mad at them at all if they really leaned into it being a very young adult, preteen type of show, because you're trying to get different audiences. The same way, again, talking about, because I was talking with Heinz earlier, the same way if people are mad about Peacemaker and they're like, oh, I wish we got the Batfleck series or the Henry Cavill series and we got this, you go, well, we have so many projects now. If you look at back in the day, 2002, when Spider-Man came out and X-Men, it's like, man, we're getting one of these movies a year. Like Fantastic Four, it's so amazing. Probably from 2000 to 2010, last year, if you were compared, wonder how many like comic book projects we got in that decade compared to just even last year, we have a buffet of comic book stuff. And that's why for me, if Miss Marvel is a bit more kiddie, I may not personally enjoy it, but I go, oh, there's an audience for it. And just like comic book, I don't have to read it. I will because I watch all this stuff, but it's one of these things that I'm not. If it was the one Marvel thing this year, I'd put a lot of stock into it. But if it's not necessary for me, it's like a comic book. Okay, there's something else to read. There's something else to watch, you know. And it's the same thing like right now with Star Wars with the Boba Fett show. I'm not really much enjoying the Power Rangers Invasion, but I'm really enjoying the books right now, so I have that going for me. So it's the same way where this could be a huge, big thing as far as bringing a new audience into as far as Marvel. And as far as Miss Marvel's character, I've always liked her. I've never read too much of her soul. I think I've always really liked her in team ups. I really liked her a few years ago when they had that new roster of Avengers when it was like her and Mighty Thor and Falcon as Captain America, and of course Tony's there. Tony's always there, and Miles was on the team. It was like this really random like ragtag type of Avengers that they put together, but that's why I really liked it. And so I'm very excited that I hope the actress knocks it out of the park. It's very much like Tom Holland with Civil War. It was like, okay, what can this kid do? And he knocked it out of the park. I hope that's all I care about. Not even the show, not like, and I do, but not even the show, not even the content of it. I do want to know, okay, how is she going to be? Because this is a character that could be around for decades. I hope she's good in the role, and I hope they've casted her well. Because if it is, then perfect. Just like Tom Holland.
And you know they've wrapped the Marvels, so she's already in that. So it's going to be kind of a 1-2 punch for her. S-Bubs in the chat saying, I was thinking She-Hulk would be after Moon Knight, but now I think I'm wrong. Will this year be Moon Knight, Kenobi, Miss Marvel, She-Hulk? Yeah, I think that's what it is. And Mando end of the year. Yeah, I think the big Star Wars project being Mando is slated for December, but now they're kind of holding back in the sense of with COVID kind of holding back their restarting of production on that. But I still think that they'll hold December. I mean, Book of Boba came out the couple of days end of December, so I think
comes
they
out
will.
The 31st.
Yep, 31st.
Will come out. Yeah.
They'll do it at that point.
I was gonna ask, why do you and S-Bubs think that She-Hulk's before Miss Marvel? Because I thought. Go ahead.
I think from what I've heard, especially from someone that I know is a little bit connected to She-Hulk, has said that there's still a lot to work on with that show. It doesn't mean it's necessarily in trouble by say. I know that they're like
I've heard those same things.
Yeah, Moon Knight. Yeah, I know Moon Knight. I know Oscar Isaac's brother had put on Instagram, which was I don't think it exists anymore, but I screenshot it before it disappeared. Him wearing the jacket, saying "Now back to finish what we started." So they're getting ready to do some reshoots.
Was his brother?
That was his brother.
What does his brother do in the film industry? Do you know?
I don't know. I know
he just follows Oscar.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he could just be there. So.
It's just the order they've always shown, but there's a lot of CGI. And 100%. But again, I feel like, okay, there is a lot of CGI in Miss Marvel, but I get it. Her versus She-Hulk a lot more and everything. I
just don't believe it. I just don't believe this one, like, it's in trouble. I think they need to go back and do some work.
Yeah,
you know?
Well, and everything has not everything, but majority of stuff has reshoots.
Marvel has built this. Marvel has built this in to their projects, and everyone just assume reshoots. It doesn't mean it's in trouble.
Yeah, which it can happen, but if you look at the majority of the time, it's fine. I was going to ask, because before we talk about the last one on the list, is Secret Invasion still not confirmed for this year?
It is not this year. They're filming it. It is not this year. I don't think they've dated it, but it is not right now on the slate for 2022. And remember, we only got 3 shows last year. We thought Miss Marvel was going to close us out, but they bumped that. So I think that now that we've got some Star Wars productions that are kind of filling out the slate on that end, I think Marvel's going to probably keep it as 3 shows a year.
Yeah, I could see that. I just was asking it because that show's just been floating around for quite a while. Like, we didn't know exactly where it was. Now, I will say this. If there's a chance that Mando gets delayed even further and for some reason Secret Invasion is farther along, I could see Secret Invasion taking that December slot just if Mando's not ready to go. You know,
when does the Marvels come out? Because we know Secret Invasion is supposed to tie into that.
I think it's February. Oh, is it? Yeah, because it is February.
It is.
So maybe it has a WandaVision January. Well, no, because if Mando's out in December, here's the checkers game, and the Marvels is out in February, I'm going to confirm that date, February, but I know they opened Black Panther there before, so they have opened movies in February, and I think that's it because it was originally
February 17th. It is currently dated.
Because it was originally the November movie of this year. Remember, a long time ago we talked about it last week. So yeah, if it's February, but again, does it tie into the fact of before or after? Because maybe it ties in, but maybe it's after the fact, right?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Could it be pulling that like season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where that one episode is the key to tie into it, and then you see the movie, and then you go back to the show the following week at that point. So it could be one of those. But but yeah, Secret Invasion, I checked a couple of times. Yeah, right now it is not slated for this. So we get to our last project, She-Hulk. This is my number 2. Because I've said it when she was cast. I cannot wait to see Tatiana Maslany play this character. I am very intrigued of the idea of leaning into the John Byrne run of the fourth wall breaking at that point. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I love this. Was a bang up casting for Feige to get someone of her caliber to play Jennifer Walters. And this is, WandaVision was kind of a dark comedy. It got a little less comedy towards the end of the season, but I think this one's going to really kind of lean a little bit more into the comedy side, and it's going to be a little different in that sense. But if this is how they continue on with Hulk at that point, we've got a little kind of a Hulk story spinning off from She-Hulk of what happens next. But, where is this fitting in the idea? I like this idea of what her role has been in Bruce's life. I think that this is one show that we see people get concerned. Oh, is it going to be it's a She-Hulk show, but we've got Hulk in it. We've got the Abomination. We've got possibly, a really good lawyer in the show playing off of her, being Matt Murdock, possibly, maybe Jessica Jones. People worried that as we said earlier, with No Way Home, how's it going to be still a Tom movie? They proved it still was a Tom movie. So I'm not too worried about She-Hulk not being focused on She-Hulk. So
yeah, no, I agree. I'm not as worried as I was when we were first covering a lot of casting, because it was a lot of casting of a lot of big characters. So same thing. I hope you can have other characters in it, but it still progresses her story along. I've only seen her in a few things, but I thought it was a very good casting. This almost ends up more like we were talking about with Black Panther Morbius, where I'm more intrigued by it. It's my number 2. I'm definitely very excited about it, and that's one I can't wait. Where Miss Marvel's ones where I do the midnight watches and I go, if it is very kind of kiddie, is it going to be even worse? Like, is there going to be like many very noteworthy things happening? This is a show I think is going to have lots of noteworthy stuff. Even just the fourth wall breaking, the fact that they'll be doing that is something that I didn't think they would be doing till Deadpool, because I thought they might worry. So I think this show almost is kind of, not saying this in like a bad way, but I think this is what Love and Thunder could be, where it's just a breath of fresh air and it's just tons of fun. Because if you look at Moon Knight, that would be the first show. Probably gonna be pretty dark. Probably a lot more trippy and whatnot. Miss Marvel's gonna be family, maybe kid oriented. If this is like they describe it as a comedy, then I'm all for it. So I again, same thing like a lot of these projects. I really want a full trailer, and I hope I give them credit. We'll wait and see. I hope she does look good. I think MCU's had some spotty CGI Phase 4. I'm somebody that I wasn't a big fan of. A lot of stuff happened in Shang-Chi. There were some other things. So I hope if they got to take time to get her look right, then get her look right.
Yeah, S-Bub's saying, I'm super excited for She-Hulk. Some of the rumors I've seen, so much fun. Some of the character interactions will be so good. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. So, but yeah, so that'll be my number 2. And I think right now, I can't really rank, but it will definitely mention it as we head into our news after our ad break. The Halloween special, I don't know enough about it to really properly rank it for excitement. I think it's just like it's there. We know it's Werewolf by Night. We know there's a possible another rumored casting. I just don't know what it's going to be about outside of it's an MCU Halloween special.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, and because they never done the special, but again, maybe this happens and then they have a lot of more specials. I'm down for that. Like they even have the Christmas holiday special coming out with Guardians, right? So they have
I did forget about that. Yeah, we've got that. I forgot to put that on the list. Yeah, those two we just don't know enough about.
But yeah, and again, I don't know if that is rumored for this year, but I don't know if it's officially dated and stuff. But yes, and S-Buzz brings up my most egregious example of the Phase 4, because I forgot that movie's on Disney Plus now. But yes, Pip the Troll to me was the that was very early 2000s stuff, and I do not want She-Hulk looking like Eric Bana's Hulk. I want some better stuff. So,
or we could have She-Hulk defending Star Fox.
Exactly, yeah.
So, all right, so those are our predictions, and we ranking our excitement. Definitely share your thoughts on them and what your most anticipated Disney Plus and/or MCU is. Share that on our social media at that point. So we are going to take our next ad break before we head into a couple of our news items. Again, these ads keep the lights on in the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We don't get to choose what ads come on, and they can be a bit loud, so I'll give you that 3 count to turn that volume down before they come on. 3, 2, 1. We'll be right back. All right. So as we ended with with the Halloween special per se, let us continue right into that. So looks like there is a rumored casting. This is coming from Deadline, where this is Marvel Studios cast Laura Donnelly as possible MCU vampire. Deadline revealed that the actress Laura Donnelly has joined the cast of Marvel Studios' Werewolf by Night project, which is being prepped for Disney Plus premiere in October. Her role wasn't officially announced, although Deadline sources point to her potentially playing Nina Pierce, aka Vampire by Night. Vampire Nina Price, excuse me. Price is the niece of the character Jack Russell, also known as Werewolf by Night, and Vampire Wolf hybrid. She carried the lichen gene and was changed further by being bitten by a vampire. She has the ability to shapeshift into either a werewolf or a vampire, and her comic origins also has ties to the Darkhold, which was famously debuted in episode 9 of WandaVision. Insider Daniel RPK responded to the news on Twitter, supporting the likelihood that Donnelly will play Nina Price by retweeting the article and caption Vampire by Night. The actress is best known for the role of Amelia True in HBO's fantasy series The Nevers. She also appeared in The Outlander. Words are really tough for me tonight. In Outlander and the Brit series Britannia and The Fall, as well as movies Tolkien and The Program. She won the Olivier Award in 2018 for the performance of the Ferryman, and so accomplished. I have not seen her personally in anything, so I can't say I'm excited. I can't say I think she's going to do a great job. But as we've seen with pretty much most of the castings of the MCU, we trust in Feige and the people he puts in charge of this.
Well, and I hate to say it, but at the end of the day, this could be a 15 to 20-minute special, and if it were to stink, probably not a lot of people are going to see it. I don't think I don't think it will, but I think it's very interesting. The Guardians Holiday Special, to me, that makes a lot of sense because James Gunn, as we've seen with Guardians, as we've seen Squad, and currently Peacemaker, he likes to do some weird, crazy stuff, and I think there's a fun meta thing of him knowing the legend of the Star Wars Holiday Special to do something like that. And if you've never watched the Star Wars Holiday Special, go do that because it is the funniest and most scarring thing you'll ever watch in your life.
And then I will highly recommend, I says anytime mentions this, if you listen to the podcast, Stuff You Should Know, look up their coverage of the holiday special and all the behind the scenes, how that happened.
Well, there you go.
What happened with it, because my gosh, you can find it on YouTube. It's just a fun thing to... I almost want to say you almost want to be somewhat inebriated to watch it to really appreciate it.
Well, the people that are making it definitely were. So that's where, to appreciate it. So I'm down. Halloween's my favorite holiday. I like seeing these characters introduced this way. Again, lots of the stuff that I appreciate in Phase 4, I'm very intrigued. Is it something that we will watch and we'll have some sort of key info? Because if you look at the one-shots they used to do, sometimes it was like, oh, this is cool. They have something that may, lead into something like All Hail the King, right? And then other times it's just Coulson's random day stopping at a gas station. He bumps into some bad guys. So what is this? Is this something where, hey, this is going to leave little nuggets for a Moon Knight, for Midnight Suns? Or is it just... we want some more programming for Disney Plus. Could you make a Halloween special, Feige? Yeah, give me some money. Okay, sure, and let's do it. So I definitely, like you said, need to know more, but I'm expecting like 15 to 20 minutes. That's what I'm expecting as far as something just fun and a little. You could
a 2-hour Halloween special.
I would love it if they came out and said, "Hey," and that would be honestly great because Clay and Katie were talking about in Star Wars Alliance. If they were to say, "Hey, we're doing our first MCU Disney Plus movie," and it's about
it's gonna
Werewolf
happen
by Night. Yeah, it's gonna. But if it was like Werewolf by Night, I'd be like, "Oh, that's almost a perfect one to do with," because it's like enough people might not care about, but might be intrigued. So I'm very interested to see this. See how, like why are we doing this other than is it because we just have a streaming service? So
sometimes it is the streaming age. So, all right. So our next story now, if you are spoiler averse and plot details, this is something I think Travis and I have talked about, even Brent and I, with some rumors and stuff like that in the past. But this might hit a little too close to home for some people wanting to know like the possible plot details with She-Hulk, in the sense of where Hulk ends up at the end of this. I'd skip ahead. What do you want to say? 5-7 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, 5-7 minutes. I think they'd probably be good. Yeah.
All right. So, spoiler alert in 3, 2, 1. Marvel rumor teases Mark Ruffalo's future after She-Hulk. So, I like how we're now calling the scooper "My Time to Shine Hello" an industry insider.
Yeah, I got to put out a few tweets, and I'll be industry insider. Oh my goodness, I should have said Oscar Isaac was playing Moon Knight, and we would have been like, man, Travis Snell knows his stuff. He's known this for 4 years.
The scooper has gained a lot of following very, very quickly. Probably very
controversial.
I think S-Buzz might have seen this individual in the Reddit files. That's one we'll have to see. But jump to Twitter under the handle "My Time to Shine Hello." It's revealed a significant event set in the Marvel Studios' upcoming Disney Plus show She-Hulk. In their tweet, they revealed that, quote unquote, Hulk will leave Earth at the end of She-Hulk. Another insider, Casey Walsh from Geeks Worldwide, corroborated the report, saying a father and son round trip to get help. The reference to the son is likely regarding Hulk's son Scar, who was previously rumored to appear in She-Hulk. Mm-hmm. The rumor was first reported by, in the subreddits at that point. I think when we first reported the idea that Scar may be involved, you and I would talk about this. Scar, I know when we were on Sakaar at that point, and it would kind of fit, but man, Scar being in the She-Hulk show, that would be really interesting in how that happens, and the fact that, in the comics, how he got to Sakaar was the Illuminati. Hulk had been too much of a liability. They
Get out of here.
Yeah, they basically trick him into getting into a spaceship and launch him and say bye.
Yeah.
And so we're sounding like we're getting the reverse, in the sense of, he's going to go into space with his son for doing something, as they say, a road trip. But I don't know. What do you feel about the possibility of, at the end of this, we see Hulk and his son going off and having a road trip?
I definitely need to see the show, because I'm somebody on the side that I don't think Scar needs to be. I don't know if he needs to be introduced in the She-Hulk show. I think there's lots of things when we talk about, the lawyer and maybe William Hurt and Abomination. Mm-hmm. Those are all things where, okay, it's lots of stuff. You could see how the attention may be taken away, but they kind of fit with what could be going on.
Yeah.
Scar, to me, is the one thing where I go, that feels like that could be a really attention-pulling away plot line from her as a character. And I don't think we need it the same way as I still feel like Ironheart is like a little too soon. I feel like Scar is a little too soon, but you've covered on Marvel Alliance, we've covered on Geek First, that there's been tons of rumors of like some sort of adaptation of like a World War Hulk scenario, right? So
yeah, I think there's like saying, they're going to do it as a movie or something like that. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and that's why maybe there's a way of them calling it World War Hulk or She-Hulk World War She.
Oh,
like,
let's
whatever.
not do that. That's not doing well in the comics. That did not do well.
Well, no, but if they have to call it that so they can make it and distribute it, they will, right? Because we still know, and they're like, Hulk has so many rumors around him that we've heard for the past year that, oh yeah, Marvel has the rights to distribution, we can do that. But I still feel like that's something we would have heard in a press release, or even just Feige would have mentioned in an interview. But Hulk always has lots of rumors around him. I like that Hulk is a character that's sticking around. We have some things going on with them. But I think it's all about execution for me, because I'm very iffy on what I hear. And I just think that now with the World War Hulk rumors, we have heard that from too many people and too many times that I would say, it's not true. It feels very much like when we talk about No Way Home, when it's like, okay, a few people are saying, some people are returning, and then just snowball. It's like, okay, this is really happening now.
Yeah.
I think World War Hulk or some sort of adaptation of that story does look like it's really happening.
Yeah. S-Pub, is confirming that, was getting pretty popular. The scooper was getting pretty popular. I've heard the scooper being referred to as she. I don't know why,
Yeah, me too. But she might, maybe on the Reddit, she must have clarified or something like that. And it's funny because that's the thing where the scooper has to, and that's where right now they will put out stuff like this, they did this with Peacemaker as well, lots of plot specific things, because people, and I'm the same thing. I have muted her, I follow her, I tune in sometimes because that, but I go, okay, the reason they do this is because they want to be able to look back and say, I told you. So then, and I get some people get mad. It's your Twitter feed. You can mute and block whoever. Like, I didn't get mad. Okay, I'll mute it. But my whole point is the reason they do that right now is they kind of prove their worth. So then in the future, they can drop more kind of ambiguous things, but you trust them because, they got this right. So this is clearly someone new on the scene. And I always wonder what the companies must think about these people, because they know it's somebody that works for them.
Yeah.
They know it's somebody, some Hollywood reporter, some agent. They know it's somebody having fun time on a Twitter. And I always wonder if, like, what happens if they were to get caught or something like that. But I hope she's true, because she's putting out great stuff about the Batman. She's putting great stuff out about Spider-Man. So I hope it's that, and stop promoting your NFTs, but that's okay.
Yep, exactly. I'll just ignore those. But yeah. So back from if you're watching, we're good. You're good to tune back in at this point. All right, our last story. We can't have Travis on without talking to his favorite scooper site, the Illuminati. Yes. So the Illuminati put out this story. Marvel brings back Daredevil and Punisher talent for Disney Plus spinoff. According to the Illuminati, Marvel Studios is bringing back the writing talent that has worked on Marvel TV in the upcoming Echo series and for the Netflix. Ken Christensen and Dara Resnick will join the writing room project. They both wrote for The Punisher and Daredevil, respectively. The two will lead with writer Marion Diary from Better Call Saul, and I'm going to totally butcher this name, Shoshana Stern from Supernatural, This Clause, and Bobby Wilson, The Rutherford Falls, and Reservation Dogs. The episodes that they were specifically headed up for their respective series, Ken Christensen wrote The Punisher Season 1, Episode 10, Virtue of the Vicious, and Season 2, Episode 3, Trouble the Water, and Season 2, Episode 9, Fluttercluck. And then Dara Renzik wrote Daredevil Season 3, Episode 8, Upstairs, Downstairs, and co-wrote Episode 11, Reunion, alongside Jim Dunn. So I won't go into the episode. When I read the descriptions, reminded myself of what those episodes were. Yeah, those were pretty significant episodes. So they definitely are bringing on some talent. So my thing is, you are bringing in people who were from the Netflix shows that wrote pretty positive, very well-received episodes. You are furthermore confirming that these Netflix characters are coming back, that know some of these characters inside and out and are bringing in some ideas of what to bring. I'm not saying you're bringing all the Netflix characters, but certain ones are going to be coming back in this show.
I'm on the other side of it where I don't think you're wrong. I think it's just that they knew that there was some quality with those shows, and why not go get some other people that have written Marvel heroes well? And I think that not only does it help if they have had experience with other characters that they might be writing again, but I think it's just, hey, you got to get successful people, and you hear, I've never seen Reservation Dogs, but I hear good things. You have Better Call Saul, Punisher, Daredevil, which to me were some of the better Netflix ones. I think it's just good adding a lot of talent to the roster, and I think that's what it does here. And it just helps if they cross the road, because maybe those characters do like have some connection or have a character that appeared in something they wrote, then tenfold, even easier. But I could even see in a world where some of these writers would get brought in for nothing that even has nothing to do with Marvel Netflix. Just that, okay, they work in TV, they've worked in the Marvel realm before, we like their projects, what they've seen or what we've seen, let's bring them in. So all sounds a good positive to me with these people, know?
Oh, that's Bubs. Yeah, probably sounds about right. It is the Illuminati at that point.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because it's such a slow news month. People report things, and now I actually saw it because I had not seen it. Well, I'd probably seen this, but I completely forgot that Espos was saying that this had been confirmed months ago, and the writers even posted on their Instagrams. But well, there you go. Now it's news to me. So
They were having a really slow news week too, so they said, "Hey,
yes,
it's an exclusive by us again."
yes, exactly.
All right, so that is all the news that's fit to talk about right now, and so let us head into some listener feedback. So let me pull up as we head into some listener questions. Now, I had one that I thought was interesting. I found it. Someone had posted about it, and so let me pull up our individual chat. The very simple question that was put on Twitter, and let me see if I can even pull it up because it'll help with the image at that point. Let me share the screen.
I do want to point this out while you're looking. You can check out the GV Discord and go listen to other listeners and hosts and whatnot in there. S-Bubs, he was pointing out that the TCA Winter Press Tour 2020 is happening this Friday. The reason he pointed that out because last year's Winter Press Tour had the spring and summer premiere dates for many shows, including Star Wars: The Bad Batch, Loki and Mysterious Bendex Society, and Monsters at Work. So there's some chance we'll be getting some release dates tomorrow.
Okay,
by the time you
nice.
listen to this, so we could have a solid date for Moon Knight, something like that. So yeah, very interesting. So thank you very much, S-Bubs.
Thank you. So the question I thought was going to be good, just quick back and forth at that point. Who team survivors on the left, and what I've gotten on there, the famous Endgame posters of those who survived were in color, and those who were snapped or positioned on the right were grayed out. So the question is, team survivors fights team snapped. Who wins?
Now you can make some argument that these people are snapped. So what is the
Yeah, they're dusted.
Yeah, but I would have to take the right side because there's lots of other good people. There's lots of great people on the left side. There's lots of good people on the right side. But you already have a team of Doctor Strange, Wanda, and Loki together. That is very tough. Like there's no really other than Wong. There's no other sorcerers on that left side, and you have.
Oh yeah, you do. You got Wong.
That's why I said Wong. I said.
Okay.
Wong.
I thought you said. Oh, okay, gotcha.
I was like, it's not Happy, and you don't have Ned there either. So I think that like with Doctor, if it was sorcerer versus sorcerer 1v1, then they kind of equal each other out. But you have Wong going out against Wanda, Strange, and then Loki. You also got Nick Fury, who always has something up his sleeve because he would have hit that pager, and Miss Marvel would have been, or Captain Marvel would have been on his side. T'Challa, whole country behind him. Spider-Man, he's always doing great things. And I think what maybe really brought it down for me was I looked at them side by side, and I agree with my sorcerer thing. But I looked at the very bottom row, and then I looked at the very right of the bottom row, and I saw Happy. I went, out of all the characters, I don't know. I think he might actually bring the team down. So I will go with the people that got snapped.
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the ones in the comparisons at that point, but you're Happy. You've got Happy. Well, the the right has their kind of Happy with Star-Lord. I mean, everyone's got a rag on Star-Lord, so why not add
Star-Lord would kick Happy's ass, though.
Yeah, of course he would. I know. I'm just saying it's just rag on Star-Lord just because. You got Tony, but you got a very much higher intellect in Shuri. You got Doctor Strange, as you pointed out, Nick Fury, Spider-Man at that point, Loki. It is an interesting idea. You got Captain Marvel, which is the power hitter at that point.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. I go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and the pro that I'd go against myself is you could make the argument that the left side has the original 6 Avengers, so they definitely have a bit more team-oriented, have worked together for years. So that's one way I could see them being beat is the Avengers, a bit more of a cohesive unit.
That's true, but I mean, depending on where we're at in this idea, are they really together, or are we at where Tony's still ticked at Steve?
Yeah. Who knows?
Man, I will go with the. I'm gonna go with the survivors. I think the survivors are gonna edge it out, just because of kind of the thing you just pointed out there, the experience and stuff like that, and particularly, certain ones may be powerful, but do they understand what they are really capable of. Can they be exploited? Because I think a lot of them can be exploited, with the exception of a select few.
So, yeah, we'll never know.
Yep, we'll never know. But all right. So let me put that back there. And all right. So we only had one question from your other Canadian brother, Mr. Hines, and it is spider related because why not? Brent's not here. We're gonna get all talking about all the spiders. I guess Bubs, whoever has the rat wins. Well, I did have the rat, so I chose. It's actually the rabbit, actually.
Yeah, no, I think he's talking about the rat that hit the machine that brought Scott back.
That's
right?
true.
That rat.
You're right. You're right.
One of that rat saved the universe. You know.
That's true. He did. So Mr. Hines asks, if Oscorp didn't exist in the MCU, who engineered the spider that bit Holland's Peter? What answer would make the man babies cry the most?
Well, you know it has to be Tony, right? Like that has to be what he's ensuing there. I think it's just, in my mind, it's just any old scientist, because I don't think they're gonna get into that. Like even, yeah, it's tough because lots of times it is Oscorp. I was trying to find an example where it wasn't. I'm sure it's out there, but they can retcon that to somebody. You could get a Spider-Man 4 where he's dealing with a villain that ties to it. That's not Norman Osborn or something. So, yeah, what I would maybe, I guess it just depends where he is. What I would very much like it to be is maybe Victor Von Doom has some stuff going on in New York, some sort of some experiments going on, and that's why we haven't met him yet, but he's just Victor right now. But
yeah, as Bub says, it fell into a vat of arc reactor juice.
That'll do it.
That'll do it. You know, I'm with you. The thing that'll quote unquote make the man babies cry, it's another thing created by Tony Stark at that point. So, you know, why not? Why not?
Yeah,
that's the low hanging fruit. I would say, you know, I still like the idea that they're touring whatever facility. If it's not Oscorp, it could be, you know, Horizon Labs was another one you could do at that point. There's a reason they never specifically said it. So yeah. I'm just saying we'll find out later, and it'll be like, oh my gosh, this changes everything.
Oh yeah,
nanobot spider bit him. Yeah, exactly. That's Bubs. All right, so those are questions, and before you get to your fact or fictions, I'm going to pull out the ones from last week at that point that you put out there. So this is going to be 2 for 2 for you.
Yes.
We'll see Hulk persona Joe Fixit in the next 2 years in a Marvel Studios project. 22% said fact, 78% said fiction.
I was not surprised by those results, you know, but I'm holding on to what if. I'm holding on. I'm saying there's a chance it could happen.
Exactly. Number 2, Emma Stone Spider-Gwen will be announced to be returning in 2022. 35% said fact, 65% said fiction. So that's 2 for 2.
I was surprised how low that one was. I'm not sure if Chris has dropped out or I have dropped out, so I'm going to keep talking.
Yep. Am I back?
I'm back.
Okay.
I was surprised how low the Spider-Gwen fact one was coming off the hype. I thought it'd be kind of closer to 50-50. I honestly did. Maybe it's because I put that 2022 date on there, but I thought it'd be a lot closer. So the people, no faith, you know.
Well, I think as Brent and I said last week, and S Bubs agrees, it's going to happen, but it'll be a 2023.
Yeah, so we'll see. As long as it happens, I don't care.
Yep. Everyone wins.
Yeah.
And number 3, if/when Frank Castle comes to the MCU, he'll not use the original logo. 53% said fact, 47% said fiction. This is interesting because both of us are subscribers to Marvel Unlimited. The Max line is not on Marvel Unlimited. You will not find any of them. No Alias, no... You'll find the Marvel Knights Punisher on there, but no Max line. So I'm wondering if they will ever put that on there.
It's tough. I don't know why they wouldn't, because you can put, you guys don't have this, but our Disney Plus in Canada, I can watch American Horror Story where Ryan Murphy
you've got, what is it called?
Star.
Yeah, Star, yeah.
Yeah, and I have American Horror Story, which features scenes of multiple orgies going on, and that's on the same thing
Yes,
as
it
Disney
does.
Plus. But all you need to do is check a little box, and there's a parental guide. The same thing I think kids and parents could do with that Punisher and Alias stuff, but I understand it. But I think it will happen one day, but give it that one's a bit longer away. So.
Yeah, that's one a bit longer. So, all right. So hit us with your next 3.
Okay, so this one I have had in the bank for a long time, and it's because I couldn't really think of a strong third one, but it became some fun, and I finished the Guardians of the Galaxy game this week. Actually, was one of my New Year's resolutions.
I'm gonna try to start that this weekend.
Yeah, it's really fun. It's a really enjoyable game. That team made a really solid Marvel game, and it won actually quite a few awards last year. Video Game Awards won Best Story. It is worth your time, so I would definitely recommend it. We reviewed it. Actually, Clay was on that somehow. He probably blackmailed Kirkland to get on there. But anyway, so fun game. But there's a mission where a certain creature appears. So I want to ask, in the next 3 years in a Marvel Studios project, we will see the Wendigo appear. Because the Wendigo has been, I don't know why, and Taylor will love this because he does his Cryptic Clues shows and he's all about Sasquatches and Bigfoots. There was something striking about the Wendigo. I don't know what comic, but it was just opening up a page and saying on the Wendigo, and then this is a deep cut for some people, but the video game based on X-Men 2, which had nothing to do with X-Men 2, it was just the title of that. It had a great set piece where you had to have boss fight where you fought the Wendigo, and I loved it as a kid. So Foggy didn't like my Wendigo idea. Yeah. Cut him off. But I don't know why. I'm a massive Wendigo fan. I'm not asking for a Wendigo Disney Plus series. Maybe I'm hoping for a Christmas special in the future, but I'm saying in the next 3 years, we will see the Wendigo in a Marvel Studios project. So that could be animated or live action.
Maybe. I don't.
You didn't think I was asking a Wendigo question that I did?
No, I did not see that coming. I was like, if we're having Wendigo, then where's Alpha Flight at this point?
Well, yeah. My thought was because I guess a sequel's not far off, but far enough. I don't know. Like, when do you think realistically we're getting a Shang-Chi sequel?
Oh, not until Phase 5.
Not until Phase 5? Okay, because that's where I put 3 years, because I didn't go 5 years because I thought it was too easy. That's too wide a span. But even with Midnight Suns and stuff like that, Shang-Chi was introducing a lot of like monster, almost mythical beast type of thing. So the second I saw it, I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised in some project if we have a set piece or episode or movie part where there is a Wendigo uses just a quick, hey, he's a, or like the Guardians, like I was talking about, literally the Guardians land on a planet where they're fighting Wendigo. Like, I think it could be very possible as a quick appearance.
Yeah, I could see a quick appearance. I don't know. I just can't be there. I'll say fiction, but it's not a strong fiction just because more of my fiction is I don't see where it can be yet. Not saying it can't be. I just don't see where it could be yet.
Thor? Maybe Thor and Guardians go to different planets. They find the Wendigo,
Yeah.
And I actually don't know the rights of the Wendigo. Was that, which sounds weird to say, but like, where did he debuted in X-Men, didn't he? Wendigo?
I'd have to check that while
so Espa or Chris can look it up, but like, there's a chance that they maybe didn't even get the rights to Wendigo till the last few years, and I'm sure that they weren't like dying to get the Wendigo rights. But no, I'm a fiction as well. I want it to happen. If I'm in the theater and I see the Wendigo, no one's gonna cheer louder than me in the theater because I've been waiting for it.
First appearance, Incredible Hulk number 162.
Oh, okay. She-Hulk confirmed.
No. Incredible Hulk.
No, I'm saying She-Hulk confirmed to be in the show. Wendigo is going to be her big bad, but no. So you'll hear no one more excited about the Wendigo than me. But I'll say fiction. I think it's going to happen, but 5 years. But again, that's why I always preference. Anything, these things could easily pop up in What If. They could have some episode featuring a Wendigo. And,
True.
True.
So as Bub, so many beasts that test audience thought they were Pokemon. All right, what's your next one?
My next one is the next Avengers lineup will only have one original member. So you'll get, obviously, we'll probably get an Avengers movie, just like Avengers 1. There'll be a collection of heroes and they'll supplement the team, but there'll only be one. So obviously you got Iron Man, he's passed away. You got Cap off somewhere else. You got Black Widow also passed away. Yeah, Cap's on the moon. And you got Black Widow obviously passed away. So that leaves Hulk, Thor, or Hawkeye. For me, I'm going to say fact because I don't... Well, actually, you know what?
I would say I'm leaning fact right now just because I think, as long as Chris Hemsworth is wanting to play the role, he's going to continue to remain in the role.
Yeah, and I think he is the one in the Avengers. But I was going to ask you, because this is where I'm a fact or fiction. If Mark Ruffalo, because this is what I kind of thought from Shang-Chi, if he is like a Nick Fury type for the Avengers, do you count that as being on the roster or not? Because that's
I would at that point. So I guess technically it's fiction, just because because I think it's one of those. I've got to say I'm going to stop talking in a sense, because I just literally developed a factor of fiction that I've got to write down at the end of this show, because it'll tie in. So I got to be very careful what I say so I don't give it away. But I think to answer your question, yes, it does. If they are helping out the team and are a member of the team, even though they're not on the front line, like you said, the man in a chair, if his arm is permanently not healed, I will say fiction just by that fact alone. So.
Well, yeah, I'll say fiction as well, even though I would love to hear from the listeners, because Nick Fury was in that first Avengers, but we don't count him in the original 6, right? We talk about the original 6, but he's not in that crew, right?
No,
and that's the thing.
But see, he's different. He's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yes, true.
So I would not count him as an Avenger just because of being the head of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And that's where I think if we're counting Ruffalo, I would say fiction, because I think even though it's a new team, they'd still want some remnants of old. I don't think Hawkeye is coming back for Avengers other than maybe to make a cameo appearance or endorse a team.
He's got to find another piece of his wife's jewelry.
100%. She has so much out there that will link back to them. But no, I think that Hawkeye's out, and I think Thor is, to me, a shoo-in to be on the Avengers, just because Hemsworth is a big star and people like him. So
yeah.
All right, my last one. So I had to go big and bold this one. We were talking about this earlier. We'll be talking about it for the next few months. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness will feature more than 10 non-MCU cameos, because we've talked about how many there are. So that's why I had to go big, because 5, you get, oh yeah, that's easy. 10 is a lot. 10 is a lot of cast people, a lot of characters, a lot of budget. So do you think we'll see more than 10 non-MCU cameos?
10, do you say 10 or more, or more
10,
than 10?
Yeah, sorry, 10 or more. Yeah, we'll go 10 or more.
I will say 10 or more. I say that's a fact. And don't ask me to name it, because I don't know if I'll make it up to 10. But I have enough in my head that are getting close to 10 that I say achieving that is going to be very, very doable.
What should be a 9? Let's stop right at 9. Oh no, I'll say fact, even though hearing double digits is very scary, because that's a lot of characters. Because you have your main characters and another 10. But you look at Spider-Man, you had 7, right? Which is Sinister. The Vicious 5. I had another.
The Fearsome 5.
Fearsome 5, yeah, whatever.
The Frightful 5.
Yeah, the Firest 5, who knows. But anyways, I'll say fact as well. I think it will happen, but I think there's still a chance it could stop right at 9, like right before that double digits and stuff. So,
like, I'm saying like 60-70% of that is just the Illuminati. Yes, true.
But remember, people had said there were some people like speculating, like, oh, Captain Carter may be in the Illuminati. That wouldn't count, remember, because she's an MCU established person. It has to be a Chris Evans as Human Torch. It has to be a Patrick Stewart as Xavier. It's not, if anyone's been in the MCU that's playing that same character, if it's like Strange Supreme, that doesn't count. It has to be
Deadpool.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be pre 2008. That's what I'm saying. So
yep, I get you. So
there you go.
All right, so I will post those on Sunday afternoon, so be on the lookout for that. And as we said, we are not going to do Comic Book Corner tonight, or even Travis and I had done like our one issues. But Travis has got a movie to get to soon. So.
I do.
Yes. So we're gonna forego that. But remember, again, Brent and I will start with our Daredevil Born Again arc, issues 226 to 233. So we will read one issue each week. So start with issue 226 next week. Right now, still free on the graphic novel series is still free on Comixology Unlimited, and as always, you can find it on Marvel Unlimited. So. All right, so that is a show. I want to thank you, Travis, for giving us 2 weeks. I know how busy you are with everything, and I know Brent appreciates it as he is on assignment, having some fun. We'll just say so.
Yeah, he's trying to talk Ben Affleck into being Daredevil, which might be a tease for something else that I forgot about.
I know, yeah.
But
we may not be done yet.
Yeah. But no, this was tons of fun. Anytime Brent is off or you're off, I like to try and fill in. And like I said before, I had been on some of the trailer reactions and the reviews, but I want to be on some Marvel Alliance news proper. I always love talking with Brent, and I love talking with you. This was a fun, because I got to do both of them. I got to do the new format, and then I got to do just you and me, and it's always a good time. And I
I love that I could dueling for this, and I thank the fans for welcoming me back. I hope for any new fans. What an outro. I will thank the internet lords that all my internet problems have been happening at the end of this cast, but I know there is a new portion of fans that are on this show that just know it as the Chris and Brent era. So I hope that I try to get to the level of intelligentness as Brent, and it's a good conversation, because I've listened to podcasts before like, oh, I never listened to it. This guy, he's not, one of the original guys. But yeah, it's one of those things that I hope, if you're just in the Chris and Brent era, that I did as good as I could to make it entertaining for you.
Go back to the beginning of this show, listeners. At this point, I will tell you right now, it's most all of it in the JUA network feed. We start this show with knowing that we have no content at that point. We got very interesting.
Yeah, I missed the goal in there. I got a big job that I had to change my thing. I was in the era where we were just this topic. We had to do this every week, where it's like, hey, what could we make the big main topic?
Crazy idea do we have?
Yeah, but you know what? It was a fun time. I was happy to do that, and I'll be excited for Brent to come back next week. And I'm not sure if it's your turn or his turn for Fact or Fiction.
I think it might be my turn, but
we'll see. If it is, I'm excited to hear what you had on the tip of your brain there. So.
Yeah. So, but yeah, tell people how they can follow you, and plug your stuff coming up on Geekverse.
Yeah, Travis B. Snail. We kind of somehow do we're at like 3 or 4 episodes a week. I lose track sometimes of how much. If you like geek stuff, like if you liked any of my opinions or any of my thoughts, we talk about that over there. The next few days, I'll be reviewing Scream and Peacemaker, and I'll be back on the Boba Fett review, and lots of good stuff coming up. And I hope everyone out there is safe and happy and having a good New Year so far in this crazy world we're living in.
Exactly. So, I want to thank our sponsor, OrganicPriceBooks.com. Again, check out their site for all your collected edition omnibus needs. Again, Marvel GUA at checkout for $2 off every single order. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Chris Balgo. You can follow this show on Twitter at Marvel A Podcast. You can follow my other show, World's Finest True Believers, at Finest Believers. You can email this show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Feel free to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback, ask Fact or Fictions, ask us questions. Continue to rate the Marvel Alliance solo feed and the GUA feed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever platform your choice may be. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for joining us in the live chat. Stay safe out there, everyone. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers. All right, post-credits. Saw this story. He's getting a lot of news this week, so why not bring him on to Marvel at this point? I just find it really funny that this story came out. All right, so the story is Marvel reportedly contacted Ben Affleck for Doctor Strange 2 role. All right, so on the level of scooper this is, it's low in my book, and again, that's why we've relegated this to a post-credits discussion, but Jeremy Conrad of Manabite had shared that Marvel Studios had supposedly made an offer to Ben Affleck to return for a short cameo as Matt Murdock in the Doctor Strange Multiverse in the Madness. It also revealed that the cameo would serve as a peek into Affleck's Daredevil universe and close the door on that version of the character. However, according to the insider, he said that they didn't expect him to sign on because the studio felt he was, quote unquote, too loyal to Warner Brothers. Okay, this is where it gets off to the side. Big screen leaks corroborated that, saying, for obvious reasons, I was asked to keep this a secret, but Marvel did indeed reach out to Affleck for a cameo as Daredevil. They sent out preliminary contracts to the team, but I'm not sure if anything came of it. Casey Welsh also kind of said that he's heard the same thing. This is a cameo I didn't necessarily have on my list of hopes and dreams for. I'm not surprised that Ben Affleck, if he even took it seriously, said no to, considering that he is done and very much made it very clear he is done with any kind of IPs, even if it's for a cameo. It could be fun, but I don't think we were all looking for, man, I wish we needed to close the door on his Matt Murdock as much as people were looking forward to him going out in his way for Batman.
I'm one of those people. I absolutely love Daredevil 2003. Whether it's
I do like it. I do like
yeah,
it.
in a very cheesy kind of guilty pleasure sort of way. It is nowhere near the top echelon. Sorry, Katie, of comic book films. It's nowhere near the TV show, but it's one of those things that as a child, I got Spider-Man, and the year after I got Daredevil. Those are some like Spider-Man, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Wolverine. Those are my MCU. Well, I'm sorry, Marvel like favorite characters. So the fact that I got a Spider-Man movie, like my like top 3 or 4, I got X-Men, and then I got Spider-Man, and then I got Daredevil. I was living high as a kid, and I loved that movie so much. Watching it now, we rush through a lot of things, but it's interesting. It's definitely one I really, really want. It's on. If I were to make a top 5 list, it'd be up there. I don't know if it's in the top 3, but it's high, and I would love it. I agree with you. Like, I don't think we need to close the door. I think a cameo is fine. I don't think we need like. I'm not wondering what happened to his Daredevil. It's like, oh, he's just fighting crime out there, but.
We hear that? That's the C train.
That's the C train. Wake me up. But anyway, so I'm of two minds where I think it could go either way. Lots of scoopers are reporting this. So there is right now, he's doing his rounds talking about, theaters won't die. They'll just tackle the big IP movies. I don't really have much interest in that.
Matt Damon tells me not to do the Batman, so I listen to him.
He tells me not to do Daredevil. He doesn't want me to do anything but just the Martian too. But like, I think that you have that side where he said, I'm done with IP movies. Now, people are saying, like, oh, he was sent a contract, all this stuff. He could be saying he's done with IP movies because he did that cameo, and yeah, he's like that. If he's in Doctor Strange, that could already be in the back.
I could already hear other fans saying he'll come back for Daredevil, but won't finish what we want for Batman. He's such a shill.
Oh yeah, and you know what? He came back for Justice League. He came back for Flash. So it's like he comes back a lot. He's like as Bob said,
IP movies is Affleck's werewolf. That is good.
100%. And it's like we thought he was done with Batman. He came back twice. I would absolutely love it. And go back a year or two ago when he was just praising the floor with Kevin Feige, talking about how a great producer he is, stuff like that. I guarantee you at least took a meeting, and I don't know why he wouldn't do it. It's so funny. The only reason he did do Daredevil back in the day because he thought they were never going to do another Batman movie, which is very fun. And so I'd very much like it. I think this one is a dead shot 50-50 of happening. It all depends where Affleck is on his life, because I think for him... But for me, I would say it's almost any actor, but why not? You're going to get a nice little payday. You're going to be trending. They're going to talk about you. And I think it would be kind of fun. And especially, I don't know, I think there's obviously it's a lot different now, but at the end of the day, still, when his kids grow up, Daredevil is the movie where he met the mother of his children, right? I think there is some fun if he were to reprise that role for just a little bit of like, hey, I'm that character that, this is part of the if there's a chance, like legitimately, there's a chance if he doesn't get cast in Daredevil, him and Jennifer Garner never meet, and those kids are not born. And it's true.
We're going down that road. You're right.
But they met through Daredevil, so that's to me like I feel like there is some sentimental value. Like, you know what, kind of bring it all full circle. But then Affleck's also the guy that I could see throwing it up, be like, no thanks. And he wouldn't in a rude way defy you, but like personally, like, no, I'm not going to do it. So who knows? Affleck, you never know. He's an ever changing beast. I very, very much hope it happens. One, because most importantly, I want to see it from my childhood. But two, I want to see the internet that weekend because people are going to flip out.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not something I need, but I'd be upset about it. No, because again, like you, I jam out to that soundtrack. I'm sorry, it's cheesy goodness at that point, but man, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, watch that director's cut. That director's cut is much better than the actual actual storyline. But all right, so again, thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.
See ya.